With 12 best-selling cookbooks, a TV series, and countless television appearances, our next guest has not only made a name for herself, but set a place for herself in kitchens and dinner tables across the globe. Nigella Lawson is back with her new book, Cook, Eat, Repeat: Ingredients, Recipes, and Stories, with a unique combination of recipes and narrative essays, taking a closer look at some of her favorite recipes. Thank you so much for being here.
God, thank you, Linsey. It's such a joy.
In this book, you not only talk about your favorite recipes, but memories as well. And I want to quote something that you wrote here. You say, cooking is not something you do and then it's finished with. It's a thread woven through our lives, encompassing memory, desire, and sustenance, both physical and emotional. What inspired you to open up about cooking in this way?
I think, really, it's been on my mind always. I've always been interested in the emotional resonance of food and the what it says about ourselves, you know, both personally, the food we like, you know, and it also is about our families, our cultures, so much. And I think that what I found as well is that even though, despite the title, it was a pre-pandemic project, I wrote it in 2020 in lockdown, and I think that all those factors of how food nourishes, not just in terms of keeping you alive physically, but the other things, the structure it gives you, the sense of, you know, the world being beautiful as well when things are frightening and difficult. And I felt very much during the lockdown, a lot of people who had never really cooked that much suddenly had to cook, and for, you know, all the time. There are so many demands on us. There's so much noise and going on in the world, static in our own lives often, so that these moments of just being absorbed in something which is so belongs to the realm of the senses, it is something enormously positive.
You're so right, and something that we often don't think about.
Yeah.
I'm curious, that 20 years ago you wrote your first cookbook. You've had about a dozen since then and countless TV appearances. When did you realize, I really have a talent for this?
Do you know, it's so weird, is that I never thought it still feels like a slightly improbable thing. No, because I was a journalist and not a food journalist at that. And I got interested and I thought I'd do that, but I didn't think it would become, you know, a career. But it's more than a career, it's my life. Like that, you know, I always say to people, if you needed to have the qualifications of a top chef in order to cook, human beings would have fallen out of the evolutionary loop a long time ago. So I'm here to remind of the pleasures of home food and to say that you can make things which have huge complexity of flavour while being actually simple to make.
And you're going on a live tour with this book. Tell us more about that.
It's much more of a sort of a conversation. And so I'm going around the country and I'll be interviewed on stage. But and this is no disrespect to interviewers, but what is really fascinating, and I rather love as well, is that I would say probably over half, but certainly half of it, is questions from the audience. And what I love about that is that you never know what you're going to be asked. You don't know. And every event has its own personality and its own character. And it is to do with the place you're in, but it's also to do with who's there in that particular evening. And it feels like a very tight connection and with people, because when you talk about food, you're always talking about so many other things in life. And so I love it.
You have a chapter called Death to the Guilty Pleasure.
Yes.
I'm certainly not going to ask you, because you were saying that everybody says, what's your guilty pleasure? But what would you say that you would like readers to take away from that chapter in particular?
Well, I suppose it's various things. I think that there are two main things. One is that those of us who've got food to eat are very lucky, and those of us who can enjoy great food, we should be feeling so, you know, gratitude, and not, you know, start persecuting ourselves. I think often it's snobbishness. People say guilty pleasure because they're frightened someone will look down on them for liking something that is not meant to be, you know, smart or chic, and I don't like that at all. Everything is good.
Now I'm getting hungry, as I knew I would. Now, you say that everybody can cook. I'm kind of one of those people. I can make a mean French toast. I can do it up for breakfast. But beyond that, are there certain recipes in here that you would point someone like me to who you'd say, look, this is so easy, even you could cook it?
Look, I don't know. I mean, I would find it hard to point out a recipe that wasn't that easy because I don't have any particular skills, certainly don't have dexterity. So I think often when people say they can't cook, often it's just a bit of a lack of interest because you do have to focus on what you're doing. But you can cook. Everyone can cook. But I think that you don't have to think of it as something you ought to do. I think that's the wrong way to look at it too. You know, enjoying food for me is good enough. Enjoying food, I don't mind if I can make bread, but I can also buy a loaf of bread and buy some cheese, buy some good butter, and then sit there and think this is one of the best meals, you know, humanity can provide. So it's all about just being in that moment and being grateful for it and loving it. You know, that's all.
Nigella Lawson, we thank you so much for your time. We want to let our viewers know that Cook, Eat, Repeat is now available wherever books are sold.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.